It is a strange feeling to realize that the very people who once went out of their way to make your life difficult are now the ones most closely monitoring your every move from the sidelines. There was a time when that specific community, whether it was an old friend group, a toxic workplace, or a neighborhood clique, spent a significant amount of their collective energy trying to keep you small and contained. They had a vested interest in your failure because your ambition acted as a mirror for their own stagnation. And they used every petty tactic in the book to rattle your confidence. They whispered behind your back, excluded you from the narrative, and tried to frame your growth as some kind of personal affront to their comfortable status quo. At the time, it felt like the weight of the world was against you, and you might have even wondered if they were right about your limitations. But you stayed grounded, kept your head down, and focused on the work while they focused on the drama. Now, the power dynamic has shifted so completely that it is almost comical to witness the change in their behavior. They are no longer the gatekeepers of your happiness. They are just spectators in a life they no longer have access to. And that realization is hitting them harder than any direct confrontation ever could. The dark psychology of a group that targets an individual is rooted in a deep, collective fear of being left behind by someone who refuses to accept the common denominator of mediocrity. When you were in the thick of it, their snickering and their coordinated efforts to undermine you felt like a massive obstacle. But in reality, it was just a loud admission of their own insecurity. They targeted you because you represented a variable they couldn't control, a person who was willing to step outside the safety of the herd to see what else was possible. Now that you have actually reached that higher level, they are forced to reconcile their old image of you with the reality of the person standing before them today. They see the results of your discipline, the quiet way you carry yourself, and the fact that you no longer seek their approval or even their acknowledgement. This elevation is the ultimate form of revenge because it doesn't require you to lower yourself to their level to strike back. You simply moved forward so far and so fast that their opinions became irrelevant. And that silence is the most painful thing they have ever had to endure. They are watching you now with a mix of awe and resentment, wondering how the person they tried to bury ended up becoming the person they secretly wish they could be. There is a very grounded human satisfaction in knowing that the very people who predicted your downfall are now the ones refreshing your feed to see how much further you've gone. They used to talk about you as if you were a problem to be solved or a joke to be shared. But now your name is spoken in hushed tones of reluctant respect or defensive criticism. This shift happens because you stopped feeding the fire of their gossip and started investing that same energy into your own personal development. While they were busy discussing your life, you were busy building it, and the gap between your reality and their expectations has become an unbridgeable canyon. They are watching you from the other side, stuck in the same cycles, and the same conversations they were having years ago. While you have transitioned into a version of yourself that they can't even relate to anymore, your elevation is relatable to anyone who has ever been counted out. It is the proof that the loudest voices in the room are rarely the ones that matter in the long run. You didn't need to win an argument with them. You just needed to outgrow the environment that allowed them to feel superior to you in the first place. When a community targets you, they are essentially trying to socially audit you into a position of weakness so they can feel more secure in their own choices. They wanted to see you panic. They wanted to see you react, and they wanted to see you beg for a seat back at their table. Instead, you chose a path of radical self-reliance and quiet competence that made their games look like child's play. Now that you are elevated, they are forced to watch you navigate a world they don't understand with a level of class they don't possess. They see that you don't hold a grudge because you don't even have the time to remember the specifics of their petty slights. This is the part that truly stings, the fact that you aren't even angry. Anger would mean they still have some power over your emotions. But your calm detachment shows them that they have been completely erased from your internal map. You have reached a level of success where their past behavior is just a footnote in a much larger and more interesting story. They are watching a person who has mastered the art of moving clean, leaving all the baggage of their negativity behind without a second thought. The most interesting thing about being elevated while your former detractors watch is the way they try to rewrite the history of your relationship. Suddenly, the people who were the most vocal about your flaws are trying to claim some kind of connection to your success, or they are pretending they were just joking all along. They are desperate to find a way back into your orbit because your new status carries a weight that they find intoxicating. But you know the truth of how they acted when you had nothing. And that knowledge acts as a permanent filter for who you let into your inner circle today. You don't need to be mean about it. You just stay grounded in the reality of what happened and keep your boundaries as solid as stone. They watch you interact with people who actually value you, and they see a version of you that is relaxed, confident, and entirely self-assured. This contrast is a brutal reminder of what they lost by choosing to be small-minded instead of supportive. You have become the living embodiment of the one that got away, and they have to live with the fact that they were the ones who pushed you toward the greatness you now enjoy. Watching you from a distance has become a full-time hobby for the people who once tried to dismantle your character, mostly because they are looking for a crack in the armor that would justify their past behavior. They want to see you fail just once so they can say, "I told you so," and feel like their original assessment of you was correct. But as you continue to succeed and handle your life with a quiet, gangster-like precision, that hope is slowly dying out. Every win you stack up is another piece of evidence that they were completely wrong about who you are and what you are capable of achieving. This creates a psychological tension within their group, as they have to decide whether to double down on their hate or admit that they missed the mark. You, however, are completely unbothered by their internal conflict. You have reached a state of mind where your validation comes from your own progress, not from the opinions of a group that has stayed exactly the same while you changed everything. Your life is a grounded example of what happens when you stop caring about the peanut gallery and start focusing on the performance. The elevation you are experiencing is not just about money, titles, or social status. It is about the fact that you have attained a level of peace that they simply cannot comprehend. They are still trapped in the same petty squabbles and the same need for external drama to feel alive, while you have found a way to be content in your own skin and your own silence. This peace is what makes you look gangster to them, because it implies a level of self-control that is genuinely intimidating. They see you moving through the world with a sense of purpose that doesn't require a loud announcement or a constant stream of validation. You are the quiet power in the room, the one who doesn't need to explain themselves to anyone, especially not to the people who once tried to tear you down. This groundedness is your ultimate shield. It makes you untouchable because you are no longer playing by the rules of the game they tried to force you into. You have created your own game, and the fact that they are now just spectators is the natural conclusion to the story you decided to write for yourself. There is a relatable irony in the fact that your success has made you the center of their conversations more now than when you were actually part of their community. They spend hours dissecting your choices, your appearance, and your trajectory, trying to find some hidden flaw that will make them feel better about their own lack of movement. But the more they look, the more they realize that you are simply a person who outworked them and out-thought them while they were busy being petty. You have become a constant presence in their minds, a ghost of what they could have been if they had focused on themselves instead of on you. This is the dark psychology of obsession. By targeting you, they accidentally tied their own sense of self-worth to your outcome. Now that you are thriving, they feel like they are losing, even if you aren't even competing with them. You are just living your life. But to them, your success is a daily indictment of their own failures. You have won the ultimate psychological war by simply refusing to show up for the battle they were so desperate to start. Your former community is now witnessing the results of the dark work you did when no one was watching.